Over the decades, many presidents and many lawmakers have come and gone, and no real progress has been made on immigration.
It's been this way for decades. And for decades, we haven't done much about it.
There is a humanitarian and security crisis on our southern border that requires urgent action.
We now have an actual humanitarian crisis on the border that only underscores the need to drop the politics and fix our immigration system once and for all.
I think you can ask any Border Patrol agent here that has been around from 1 year to 30 years as myself, and they'll tell you that this is a crisis.
Is there a crisis on the border? Yes, there is.
Well, look, I voted numerous times when I was a senator to spend money to build a barrier to try to prevent illegal immigrants from coming in. And I do think you have to control your borders.
We've got to do several things, and I am, adamantly against illegal immigrants. Certainly, we've got to do more at our borders, and people have to stop employing illegal immigrants.
We will not build a wall. Instead, we will build an economy where everyone who wants a good job can get one.
We are a nation of immigrants, and we should all be proud of it. But we're also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws.
Not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before.
To put a wall there is in my view, ineffective, too expensive, almost immoral. Immoral.
This is a problem. I'm not interested in photo ops. I'm interested in solving a problem.
Children from those three countries now being detained in Texas is 57,000.
Of immigrant children sleeping in cages. Journalists, politicians, Obama flacks, they all blame Trump. Turns out the photos are 4 years old when Obama was in charge. Whoops.
In recent weeks, we've seen a surge of unaccompanied children arrive at the border, brought here and to other countries by smugglers and traffickers.
1,000 deportations on average a day. People are wondering, won't you at least consider unilaterally freezing deportations for the parents of deferred action kids?
Yeah. Here's the problem that I have, Jose, and I've said this consistently. My job in the executive branch is supposed to be to carry out the laws that are passed. Sending a message to people who have not yet come here, we're going to be enforcing those immigration laws so that newcomers, people who just arrive, you are likely to be sent back. And we're going to still be focused on making sure that, not just from Mexico, but anywhere around the world, that we can actually enforce better the laws that we have. It is unlikely that their children will be able to stay. And I've asked parents across Central America not to put their children in harm's way in this fashion.
The Obama administration has deported more than the sum of all the U.S. presidents of the 20th century, 2.5 million and counting.
For decades, open borders have allowed drugs and gangs to pour into our most vulnerable communities. Most tragically, they have caused the loss of many innocent lives.
Why do you keep lying about it, sir?
That's the Democrats' law. We can change it tonight. We can change it right now. I will leave here. No.
They're telling us that the single most grave threat to America is a bunch of poor, impoverished, broke, hungry refugees 1,000 miles away. They're even using our brave troops, sending them down as a political stunt.
Families who enter our country the right way and play by the rules watch others flout the rules.
People who enter the United States without our permission are illegal aliens, and illegal aliens should not be treated the same as people who entered the U.S. legally.
And because we live in an age where terrorists are challenging our borders, we cannot allow people to pour into the U.S. undetected, undocumented, and unchecked.
Is a bunch of poor, impoverished, broke, hungry refugees 1,000 miles away.
The president's decision to end DACA was heartless and it was brainless. Hundreds of thousands of families will be ripped apart.
Meanwhile, what's happening to families at the border is horrific. This is a moral and humanitarian crisis.
We have to have border security. We have to have a wall in order to have border security. You cannot have border security without a wall.
Well, we're not going for the $5 billion for the wall. We simply are not. Okay.
Border security is national security. I need more men and women. I need more technology. I need more wall.
No, nothing for the wall. We're talking about border security.
Nothing for the wall, but that means it's
well,
a
we can go
non-starter.
through this all, back and forth. No. How many more times can we say no? Nothing for the wall.
We started a job in 2006. We need to finish that job. We've got the personnel, we need the technology, we need the resources, we need the infrastructure in order to control this border and manage it. Part of our area is covered with some fencing on our east side. That accounts for about 6% of our traffic. Where we have no fencing, over 90% of our traffic occurs in those areas.
The wall is an immorality between countries. It's an old way of thinking. It isn't cost effective. And the fact is, as Congresswoman Lucia Robo-Allard said, there are things we could be doing at the ports of entry.
The Department of Homeland Security says there's been more than a 200% spike in illegal border crossings over the past year, and a 37% jump from last month to this month.
For the first time, an American president is taking a very firm line. Good. That's what's needed. Whole populations are on the move. Invasions, frankly, have to be stopped.
A lot of bad people that have to get out of this country. We're going to get them out.
That was Trump last week. This was the president in 2014.
And that's why we're going to keep focusing enforcement resources on actual threats to our security. Felons, not families.
Both men say ridding the country of criminal illegal immigrants is a top priority, and both propose spending more on border security. And though Trump's constant call for a massive wall along the U.S.-Mexico border is not supported by the president, both men have been proponents of adding so-called virtual border security.
It would put another $6.5 billion on top of what we're already spending towards stronger, smarter security along our borders.
President Trump still wants the $5.7 billion for the border wall.
$6.5 billion on top of what we're already spending towards stronger, smarter security along our borders.
Is that really far afield from what Donald Trump is basically saying? If they're a criminal, they're going to be out of here?
I guess it depends on the day you ask.
But Democrats fired back and called the move, quote, hostage-taking.
Border security is a way to effectively honor our responsibility.
And the experts say you can do border security without a wall, which is wasteful and doesn't solve the problem.
Well, and again, after 30 years of working in border enforcement, I can attest to the fact that walls, border fences do work.
Building a wall along the entire southwest border is probably not going to work.
We began putting up fencing in the mid-1990s, and that had a dramatic impact on the flow of illegal migration. As soon as we put in infrastructure and fencing, you add technology and agents, it has a dramatic impact on that flow of illicit migrants, illicit narcotics, and it brings control to the border.
We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws.
Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. Today, our immigration system is broken, and everybody knows it. When I took office, I committed to fixing this broken immigration system, and I began by doing what I could to secure our borders. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. We expect people who live in this country to play by the rules.
It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
I mean, we can play games and we can talk about technology, we can talk about drones flying around. You know, right now, formed is an 8,000-person caravan. And the caravan is heading our way. Congratulations. We have another one. We stopped the first one. We stopped the second one. I wouldn't say that Tijuana is too happy, but they're happily living in Tijuana right now, and a lot of them have gone back, but we stopped them. But it's very tough. And if we didn't have a wall in those areas, it would have been very hard to stop them.
The only obstacle is the President of the United States.
Well, what we need along the border is a border enforcement system. There is no singular solution. What we need is a combination of factors: a border infrastructure, roads that provide access to the border, technology, ground sensors, night vision cameras, drones, and then, of course, wall or fencing to secure the border.
A wall is an immorality. It's not who we are as a nation.
It's designed as a border security structure. It's designed to provide a delineation of the border. It provides an opportunity for agents to respond to any sort of traffic at the border. Whatever that threat may be, it provides an opportunity for us to respond.
A steel barrier will help us stop illegal immigration while safely directing commerce to our lawful ports of entry.
It is a comprehensive system. It's complex, it's multifaceted, and what we need is an entire border enforcement system.
$5.7 billion for a strategic deployment of physical barriers or a wall. This is not a 2,000-mile concrete structure from sea to sea. These are steel barriers in high-priority locations. Much of the border is already protected by natural barriers such as mountains and water. We already have many miles of barrier, including 115 miles that we are currently building or under contract. It will be done quickly. Our request will add another 230 miles this year in the areas our border agents most urgently need. It will have an unbelievable impact.
The system's still broken. And to truly deal with this issue, Congress needs to act.
Right now, Chuck and I are not in a negotiation of, we're not going for the $5 billion for the wall. We simply are not. Okay.
Ridiculous.
Pass a bill.
Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.